Hello students, welcome to video classes. So today topic is not for PU, it is only for the competitive part. So today's topic is the aberrations. Aberrations means nothing but the defects in the formation of the images. Because whenever you are going to use the lenses, so in the formation of images, the few defects are going to be produced. Those defects are going to be called as a aberrations. So there are so many types of aberrations are there, but according to the competitive part, whatever we are required, that is only the two types of the aberrations we are going to discuss. One is called the spherical aberration and the second one is called the chromatic aberration. So today we are going to discuss deeply what is the spherical aberration and the chromatic aberration and how can we overcome those elimination. That means the elimination methods we are going to discuss here. Okay, right. So first we are going to discuss about the spherical aberration. So before going to discuss about the spherical aberration, the few concepts are very important. So in the earlier classes we have already discussed that when the rays of light are coming from the object will be classified into two types. One is called the marginal rays and another one is called the paraxial rays. Marginal rays and the paraxial rays. I hope you remember this rays itself because in many derivations we are going to use the paraxial rays itself. Okay. So first we are going to discuss about the paraxial rays. What are the paraxial rays means? The rays which are very nearer to the principal axis will be called as a paraxial rays. And the marginal rays. Marginal rays means the rays which are very far from the principal axis will be called as a marginal rays. So any object you may take, the light coming from the object is going to be incident on the lens. While the light is going to be incident on the lens, the rays which are very nearer to the principal axis will be called as a paraxial rays and the rays which are very far from the principal axis will be called as a marginal rays. And these paraxial rays and the marginal rays, the refractions will be different. Okay. For the paraxial rays, the refraction will be very less. But for the marginal rays, the refraction will be very maximum. So due to the reason of this difference refractive index or the refraction power, what happened? A point size object image will be produced at the two different places on the principal axis. So this type of defect will be called as a spherical aberration. So in the spherical aberration, what happened? You are going to take a point size object and the other side what happened? The two different images are going to be produced at the two different places. Why the two different images are going to be produced? The reason is the marginal rays will form the image at one place and the paraxial rays will form the image at another place. So due to the reason of two images are going to be formed, then what happens? It will become very difficult to see the image or to identify the image itself. Okay. So this type of defects will be called as a spherical aberration. So let us discuss deeply with the diagram how the spherical aberration is going to take place. Spherical aberration. Okay, this is the spherical aberration. When you go to refer to the spherical aberration, first I am going to take the principal axis here. So this is the principal axis and you are going to take a convex lens. Okay, it is called the convex lens or it will be called as a converging lens also. Now the object is at the far distance or at the infinite distance you are saying, and the rays coming from, and let us say that this is the optical center. Okay, this point will be the optical center and let's take the two rays are going to be taking here. This is the first ray is going to be incident and this is the second ray. This is the third and this is the fourth rays are there. Okay, like this if you are going to give the numbers to them 1, 2, 3, 4. The four rays you are taking and the fifth ray you are going to take along the principal axis. And we already know that whatever the ray of light is passing through the principal axis or the optic center, it does not refract, it will travel in a straight line itself. That's why we are not going to be considering the ray of light which is passing through the principal axis. So 1, 2, 3, 4. The four rays you are going to be taking and the direction is coming like this. These rays are going to be traveling in this direction. Okay. Now, what are the paraxial rays and what are the marginal rays? Just on the definition we explained that the rays which are very near to the principal axis will be called as a paraxial rays. That means 2 and 3, these are very nearer to the principal axis. That's why these two rays will be called as a paraxial rays. And 1 and 4 will be called as a marginal rays because these are very far from the principal axis. Like that, from the distant object the light is coming and is going to be incident on the lens like this. After that what happened? What we have discussed? We have discussed that the paraxial rays, the refraction will be very less and the marginal rays will be refraction will be very maximum. So due to the reason of maximum refraction what happened? these marginal rays will reflect maximum and they will form the image very nearer to the lens. Okay, they are going to form the image very nearer to the lens. Like this, they are going to form the image. Okay, they are going to form the image. This image can be called as IM. Okay, this image can be called as IM. The image formed by the marginal rays. After that, these are the paraxial rays. The paraxial rays refraction will be very less. When the refraction will be very less, then what happened? They reflect very less and they will form the image little bit far from the lens. So the refraction is less. That's why they are going to form the image at this place. And the image is going to be formed at here. This is the image is going to be formed by the marginal rays. These are the paraxial rays. And this image is going to be called as IP. That image is going to be called as IP. So what is happening here? In this one, it is clearly explains that a point size object or a single object image is produced at the two different places. At this point, one image is going to be formed due to the reason of marginal rays, and at this point, another image is going to be formed due to the reason of paraxial rays. So when the two images are going to be produced, then what happens? It will become very difficult to see the object or to identify the object itself. So this type of defect will be called as a spherical aberration. So what is the main reason of the spherical aberration? The main reason of the spherical aberration is the marginal rays and the paraxial rays. Okay, these are the spherical aberration to producing here itself. Okay, right. Now we are going to discuss that how can we eliminate this spherical aberration. So the elimination methods, whenever refer to the elimination methods, then the different methods are there. Out of them we are going to discuss about the three types of the methods. Okay, we are going to discuss about the three types of the methods here. The first method is we are going to use is by using the stops. Okay, by using the stops we can eliminate the spherical aberration. What are these stops? The stops means nothing but you are going to take a rigid support or a rigid solid material from where the light is not going to be travels. So those stops is going to be they are going to be stops either the marginal rays or the paraxial rays, and only they will allow one type of the rays so that you can form the image. For example, this is the image is going to be produced at here, and what I am going to do is I am just going to use the stops like this. I am going to use the stops like this. Okay, this is a stop, and these stops I am going to be arranging it here. One stop I am going to be arranging here, and another stop I am going to be arranging here. When I am going to arrange these two stops, then what happened? These marginal rays is going to be blocked at here. Okay, these marginal rays will be blocked by these stops, and this image will not be produced. When this image will not be produced, then what happened? The image, only one image can be produced, and that image is due to the reason of the paraxial rays. When one image is going to be produced, then it will becomes very easy to observe and to understand the image itself. Okay, this is the stops. Sometimes what happens? You are going to use another type of stops. Another type of stops means you are just going to use a single stop. You are going to be using here. This is a single stop. When you are going to use a single stop, that means you are going to place a single stop at this place at here. You are placing the single stop at here. When you are going to place a single stop at this place, then what happens here? Whatever the light is coming here, this light will refract and is going to be incident on the stop. This stopper will stop the marginal rays. That means the marginal rays will not pass through the stopper, and the paraxial rays will stop. This marginal rays are going to produces the image at here. The paraxial rays, that means this IP image will not be produces, and IM image is going to be produced because the marginal rays has been stopped at here. Only the paraxial rays will stop. The paraxial rays will travel and they are going to be formed. These paraxial rays are going to be stopped at here. The marginal rays are going to be traveling here, and the marginal rays is going to produces the images. So in this way, what happened? Only IM image produced by the marginal rays will be produced. Paraxial rays does not produce the image. So in this way, what happened? The spherical aberration can be eliminated by using the stops. That means by using the stops, sometimes that will be depend on us itself. If you want to block the paraxial rays, then the image will form by the marginal rays. If you are going to block the marginal rays, then the image will be formed by the paraxial rays. Every time only one image will be produced so that we can understand the image and we can study the image itself. Okay, this is the first elimination method by using the stops itself. So we are going to eliminate the spherical aberration by using the stops. Next, second one. When we are going to refer to the second one, we are going to use a suitable convex lens and a concave lens. Okay, the combination of concave lens and the convex lens will eliminate the spherical aberration. That means you are just going to join them. A suitable convex lens and a concave lens you are going to be taking here. That means the arrangement will be like this. This is a convex lens you are taking here. Okay, this is a convex lens and this is a concave lens. Okay, one is a convex lens and the one is a concave lens, and you are just going to join them. When you are going to join them, the arrangement will be looks like this. This is a convex lens and then it is going to be a concave lens. Now what happens here, you are going to join both of them, then the arrangement will be like this. This type of combination is also called as the achromatic combination. Okay, this combination is also called as a achromatic combination. Here what happened, one convex lens and one concave lens, you are going to be joining them. When you are going to join them like this, then this arrangement will eliminate the spherical aberration. That means what happens here, if a point size object will be placed, the light coming from will be incident on this combination, and the other side what happens, only one image is going to be produced, and that should be very clearly it will be produced. So in this way also what happens, the spherical aberration can be eliminated. Okay, this is the second method. Next, the third method is there. The third method will explain that when you are going to use the two lenses. Okay, when you are going to use the two lenses of different focal lengths f1 and f2, then the two lenses are going to be placed at a certain distance. Then immediately what happens, the spherical aberration is going to be eliminated. Then what is the distance should be? Okay, if I am going to take the focal lengths are f1 and f2, what is the distance between the two lenses so that it can overcome the spherical aberration? Then the distance must be equals to d is equals to f1 minus f2. This is the relation we are going to be using here itself. D is equals to f1 minus f2. This symbol indicates that always you have to subtract from the higher value. Okay, what is this symbol indicates? You have to subtract from the higher value, because we don't know f1 is maximum or f2 is maximum. If f1 is maximum and f2 is minimum, then you can write down f1 minus f2. In case f2 is maximum and f1 is minimum, then you have to write it as f2 minus f1. So this symbol indicates that you have to subtract it, but always you have to subtract the lower value from the higher value itself. Okay, these are the three methods are there to eliminate the spherical aberration itself. Okay, what is the main reason of the spherical aberration? Marginal rays and the paraxial rays. 1 and 4 are the marginal rays, 2 and 3 are the paraxial rays itself. Okay, now what are the methods are there? There are the three methods are there to eliminate it. One is the stops, by using the stops. Second one is by using the achromatic combination, a suitable convex lens and the concave lens. We are going to be joined them to eliminate the spherical aberration. And the third one is the difference between the two focal lengths. That means if the two lenses of the focal lengths f1 and f2, if you are going to be separated by a distance of f1 minus f2, then immediately what happens, the spherical aberration is going to be eliminated. Okay, so this is the spherical aberration and the elimination method. Out of them, in the problems, you need to remember this form. Okay, this method you need to remember. Okay, what is the formula I will be using here? D is equals to f1 minus f2. So our next method is, we are going to discuss about the chromatic aberration. Okay, chromatic aberration. When I go to refer to this, chromatic aberration is produced due to the reason of the different colors is going to have the different refractive powers. Okay, the different colors are going to be having the different refractive powers. And the different colors are going to produce the different images at the different places with the different sizes. This type of defect will be called as a chromatic aberration. Okay, the main reason of the chromatic aberration is the different colors will have the different refraction. So earlier in the time of dispersion, we are already discussed that when a white light is going to be incident, okay, when a white light is going to be incident on the prism, then immediately what happened, that white light is going to be divided into different colors. Okay, different 7 colors, which will be called as a dispersion of light. okay, which will be called as a dispersion. Okay, different colors are going to be produced. Same essentially what happened, whenever you are going to place an object and the light coming from the object is going to be incident on the lens, then what happened, that light will be divided into 7 colors, and those 7 colors will refract in different ways, and the different images formed at the different positions on the principal axis with the different sizes. So this type of defect will be called as a chromatic aberration. Okay, now we are going to discuss that how the chromatic aberration will be takes place and how it is going to be classified itself. Okay, for that I am going to take again the same principal axis I am going to take in here. So let us say that this is the principal axis I am taking, and this is a convex lens. Okay, this is a convex lens you are taking, and this is the point which is called as a optic center. Okay, that is a point will be called as a optic center. And I am going to place an object at here. This is an object I am going to be placing at this place. Object, you can call it as O. And what happens here, the light coming from this object is going to be incident on the lens. And for our convenience, what happens, you are going to take the 2 rays only. Okay, one ray of light is passing through the optic center and another ray is parallel to the principal axis. So one ray of light is passing through the optic center like this, and another ray of light is parallel to the principal axis and is going to take place like this. Now what happens, let us imagine that the light coming from the object is white light, and whenever it is going to be incident on the lens, then immediately what happened, it will be divided into different colors. When it will be divided into different colors, then what happened, the different colors, what I am going to call it as a VIBGYOR. In the VIBGYOR, which color will be deviates more or the refraction is more? For the violet color, the refraction is more, and for yellow color, for red color, the refraction will be less. So what happens here, first one image is going to be produced. So if you are going to take place here, one image is going to be produced at here. Okay, this is the one image, and this is also refracts and is going to be forms the image at this place. Okay, here the image is going to be produced, and this image will be called as IV. What it is, IV represents the image produced by the violet color. What is IV represents? The image produced by the violet color, because the violet color will have maximum refraction. The ray of light passing through the optical center does not refract. Only the ray of light which is passing other than the optic center will be refracts. So that's why this ray of light is reflected more, and here the image is going to be produced, and this image is produced by the violet light. After that, red color will deviates very less, and if you are going to extend it, this is going to be forms the another image at this place. Here there is another image is going to be produced, and this is also refracts again, and it is going to be forms the image So this is going to be produces in this direction, and here the image is produced will be called as IR. Okay, what is IR represents? Image produced by the red color. In meanwhile, what happened? The different colors are there. VIBGYOR, the blue color, orange color, violet color, yellow color, all those colors are going to be produced as the image between them itself. So that means what happens here? In between IV and IR, the remaining images are going to be produced with the different sizes will be produced. So what is happening here? A single object you are taking, but on the other side what happens? You are going to get the different sizes of the images with the different colors. So in this way what happens? We can't able to see the object very clearly, or we can't see the image very clearly. So this type of defects will be called as a chromatic aberration. Okay. What is the main reason of the chromatic aberration? The main reason of the chromatic aberration is the different colors will have the different refractive powers will be there. Due to that reason only what happened, the chromatic aberration is going to be produced. Now, when you go to refer to this chromatic aberration, is classified into 2 types. Okay, that is, the first one is called the longitudinal chromatic aberration. Longitudinal chromatic aberration means here, this is called the longitudinal chromatic aberration. Okay, this is called the longitudinal chromatic aberration. How the longitudinal chromatic aberration can be defined here? The longitudinal chromatic aberration is nothing but the difference between the images produced by the 2 colors, red color and the violet color, on the principal axis will be called as a longitudinal chromatic aberration. Okay, longitudinal chromatic aberration. Otherwise, we can simply define as the difference between the focal length of the red color and the violet color on the principal axis will be called as a longitudinal chromatic aberration. Okay, the difference between the focal lengths of the red color and the violet color will be called as a longitudinal chromatic aberration, or the distance between the images produced by the red color and the violet color will be called as a longitudinal chromatic aberration. This longitudinal chromatic aberration we are going to measure along the principal axis. How we are going to measure? Along the principal axis you have to measure. Next one is the lateral chromatic aberration. Lateral chromatic aberration means this is the process you are taking. Whatever this distance is there, this distance is called the lateral chromatic aberration. Okay, this distance is going to be called as lateral chromatic aberration. Okay, how can you define this lateral chromatic aberration? Lateral chromatic aberration is nothing but the difference in the size of the two images. Okay, the difference between the size of the two colors of the images will be called as a lateral chromatic aberration. Okay, longitudinal chromatic aberration will explain about the distance between them. Lateral chromatic aberration will explain the difference between the sizes. Okay, these are the two types of the chromatic aberrations are there. Okay, you need to remember this concept. If you can remember this diagram, then it will be very easy to remember every part of the concepts will be there here. Okay, so the main reason of chromatic aberration is the different colors will have the different refractions. Longitudinal chromatic aberration, the difference between the distance of the images along the principal axis. Lateral chromatic aberration, the difference in the sizes of the images will be called as a lateral chromatic aberration. Okay, right. Now we are going to discuss about the elimination methods. We are going to refer to the elimination methods. To eliminate this chromatic aberration, we are going to use the two focal lengths. Okay, two lenses of the focal lengths f1 and f2, and they are going to be arranged in a certain distance, that is the average of the two focal lengths. That means D is equals to f1 plus f2 by 2. This is the elimination method of the chromatic aberration. That means if you are going to take the two lenses of focal lengths f1 and f2, then they are going to be separated by a distance, and the separation distance D must be equals to f1 plus f2 by 2. This is the elimination method of the chromatic aberration. The formulas are very important to solve the problem. The spherical aberration, what is the distance will be? D is equals to f1 minus f2. But in the chromatic aberration, the distance D is equals to f1 plus f2 by 2. Okay, so this is the elimination method of the chromatic aberration. So these are the two types of the aberrations we are going to be discussing, which these concepts are very important for the competitive part. And once again I am saying, these concepts are not there for the PU, these are only for the competitive part. Some theoretical concepts also, questions also they will ask. For that you need to remember each and every point of this concepts itself. Okay, spherical aberration and the chromatic aberration. Okay, so that's all for today. In the next class we can discuss about the next concept. Okay, thank you.